It was a slow-burning Arizona afternoon when Tyler Burns noticed something strange while working on his front porch. A golf cart trapped in black duct tape with flashing red-blue lights rolled past the cul-de-sac, like it was part of a low-budget action movie. But that wasn't the weirdest part. The driver wore a full navy blue outfit, utility belt, sunglasses, and a badge that gleamed just enough to look official. If you squinted hard and ignored the plastic sheen, that's when Tyler knew. Karen Simmons was up to something. Karen had always been that neighbor, president of the HOA's compliance subcommittee, self-appointed community guardian, and full-time drama machine. She once tried to ticket a dog for unauthorized digging in its own yard. But now she was impersonating an officer or something dangerously close to it. Tyler leaned over his railing, sipping iced tea, watching her pull over an elderly couple driving 5 miles under the speed limit. She stepped out, strutted up to the window, tapped on it like she was ready to make an arrest. License and HOA ID. Please, she barked. Tyler nearly choked on his tea. The couple looked terrified. The man shakily handed her something from his glove compartment, and she squinted at it like it was a wanted poster. Then, she actually wrote something down on a carbon ticket pad. That's when Tyler started filming. This wasn't a joke anymore. Karen strutted back to her cart, adjusted her fake utility belt, and took off down the road, blaring a siren so high-pitched it sounded like a dying parakeet. She must have bought every piece of that outfit online, Tyler figured. But there was something far more dangerous than a costume here. She was convinced it was real. That night, Tyler showed the video to his wife, Gina. She pulled someone over. In a golf cart, she gave him a ticket, Gina asked, folding her arms. Worse, she asked for an HOA license. Gina stared. That's not a thing. Oh, I know, but she doesn't know that. Gina grabbed her laptop. This is going online. She needs to be stopped before she tastes a Girl Scout. But Tyler stopped her. Not yet. Let's see how deep this goes. The next morning, Karen upped her game. A full 4 radio set now sat mounted on the cart's dashboard, and she wore aviators with mirrored lenses. She patrolled like she was guarding a military base. Except instead of guarding it, she was harassing neighbors about recycling bin placement and suspicious lawn furniture. When she rolled up to Tyler's house, it was almost cinematic. Sir, she said, lowering her sunglasses, your truck is parked within 18 inches of a fire hydrant. That's not a hydrant, Tyler said, pointing. That's a decorative garden gnome. Karen squinted. Still a violation. Tyler smiled calmly. Do you have the authority to issue violations? She tapped her badge. Community enforcement. Under Title VII of the HOA Code. Tyler paused. There's no Title VII. I suggest you move the vehicle before I escalate this. What, exactly, are you escalating it to? He asked, pulling out his phone again. Karen glared at him, then lifted the radio and spoke into it. Unit Alpha requesting backup on Maple Ridge. Possible obstruction. No one responded. She repeated the call. Still nothing. Her fake radio squealed with static from a walkie-talkie probably bought in a kid's toy aisle. Tyler leaned in. Let me guess, dispatch is at lunch. Karen narrowed her eyes and peeled away in her cart, tires screeching like a cat in a blender. Gina stepped onto the porch beside Tyler, shaking her head. How long before she pulls a fire alarm at the clubhouse? Tyler smirked. Let's just say I've already alerted someone. Who? He pointed toward the street. Someone with a real badge. A black and white patrol car had pulled up near the corner. Officer Riley Thompson stepped out slowly, eyes tracking the golf cart that was now cruising down the road with sirens wailing. Tyler turned to Gina. This is about to get very real. And very public. Tyler didn't even have to check the neighborhood Facebook page to know something was about to go down. The next morning, 3 different families texted him the same message. You need to see what Karen's doing at the clubhouse. Within 10 minutes, Tyler and Gina were parked across the street, watching the spectacle unfold like an HOA-themed reality show gone off the rails. Karen had cordoned off the entire community clubhouse with yellow caution tape. She stood out, front in her ridiculous uniform, shouting at confused families and waving around a flashlight like it was a baton. Tyler rolled his phone camera, already narrating. And here we have Officer Karen, conducting what appears to be a high-priority takedown of cake and juice boxes. Inside the clubhouse, a little girl's birthday party was supposed to be happening. Instead, parents were arguing with Karen as kids in party hats looked on in confusion. Karen held up her hand like a traffic cop and bellowed, "Everyone out." This facility is under inspection by HOA Special Enforcement. One father stepped forward. Karen, this is my daughter's 7th birthday. We reserved this space through Craig last month. Karen pointed to her chest. I don't answer to Craig. I answer to the code. Which code? He asked. Section 4A. Subparagraph beta. Tyler shook his head. That's not even how codes work. Then Karen whipped out a small clipboard and started scribbling something. Gina squinted. Is that a violation notice? No, Tyler said, zooming in with his phone. That's a Chuck E. Cheese coloring sheet. Karen marched toward a set of lockers near the clubhouse pool and started opening them at random. Contraband. Inspection, she said, pulling out a swim floaty shaped like a duck. This needs to be reported. One of the moms finally had enough. Karen, this isn't a police operation. You don't have authority here. Karen, breathing heavily, turned around and into her walkie-talkie muttered, we have a possible 23 Bravo. Adult known, requesting tactical support. Tyler leaned into Gina. Did she just say tactical support? Gina nodded. What does she think this is? Law and Order, HOA unit. Then, the moment arrived. A real black and white Mesa PD patrol car turned onto the street, slowly, calmly, just like in every movie when reality crashes through delusion. The door opened, and Officer Riley Thompson stepped out, sunglasses on, coffee in hand. He looked over the scene like he was trying to decide if it was a prank or a mental breakdown. Karen straightened her back and walked toward him. Clipboard clutched tight, voice suddenly commanding. Officer, I've got this covered. HOA Special Enforcement has already secured the scene. Riley blinked. Special what? Karen extended her hand in a dramatic, sweeping gesture. Karen Simmons, acting deputy for the Maple Grove Estates Community Enforcement Division. There was no such thing. Not legally. Not even in the fantasy version of the HOA bylaws. Riley eyed her badge, then her belt, then the comically large radio clipped to her hip. You realize, impersonating law enforcement is a criminal offense, he said calmly. Karen scoffed. I'm not impersonating anyone. I'm an auxiliary agent for the HOA. Auxiliary agents don't wear badges, or use sirens, or try to clear buildings. Karen pulled out a printed document. This here is authorization signed by the HOA compliance chair. Riley took the paper, scanned it once, and frowned. This is a lost pet bulletin. With crayon drawings. Karen's face went pale. Meanwhile, Tyler and Gina stood across the street, trying not to laugh too loudly. Gina whispered, this is what happens when someone takes Monopoly too seriously. Just then Craig the HOA president came sprinting up, completely out of breath. Officer, I just found out about this. We didn't authorize any of this. Karen is, well, she's just a little overzealous. Karen spun around. You said we needed stronger enforcement. You said I should take the lead. I meant send a warning email. Karen, now flustered, turned back to Riley and tried one last time. This is a misunderstanding. I was just helping keeping order. Riley gave her a long, hard look. Ma'am, put down the clipboard and step over here. We need to have a real conversation about what you've been doing. Karen's hands trembled as Officer Riley guided her away from the clubhouse. Clipboard dangling at her side like a defeated sword. Parents ushered their kids back inside the clubhouse, murmuring under their breath, shaking their heads. The birthday party had been delayed by 30 minutes, but now, the only thing anyone would remember was the woman with the fake badge who tried to conduct a raid over fruit punch. But Karen wasn't ready to back down, not even close. I need to call my unit, she muttered, fiddling with the oversized walkie-talkie on her hip. Officer Riley raised an eyebrow. Your unit. Yes, Bravo Tango 2. They're 10 minutes out. Who are they? The Lego police force. Karen didn't answer. Instead, she began speaking into the walkie, very slowly and very loudly. This is Unit Alpha to Bravo Tango. We have a situation at Clubhouse 1. Request immediate backup. Suspect is detaining an officer. Code 48 Protocol, Zebra. There was static. Then the faint voice of a child. I'm at the playground, and I think you're on the wrong channel. Karen twisted the knob and tried again. Tyler and Gina, watching from their lawn chairs across the street, nearly choked from laughing. Gina had already opened a family-size bag of popcorn. I don't know what's better, her fake codes or the fact she thinks someone's coming to rescue her in a golf cart convoy. Officer Riley, visibly trying not to lose his patience, motioned toward her vehicle. "Ma'am, where's your registration?" Karen hesitated. "This cart is issued by the HOA. It's technically a patrol unit. It has LED Christmas lights, and a bumper sticker that says, 'Neighborhood Watch, mess around and find out.'" Karen looked wounded. "It was decorated for morale. Step away from the cart." Karen took a step back but then lunged forward. "You can't impound that. It's an active unit. It has my patrol logs." Riley nodded toward his partner, who had just pulled up. "Please assist with securing the vehicle." As the second officer began unfastening the light bar and loading it into his trunk, Karen snapped. She ran forward and placed her hand on the cart like she was shielding a fallen comrade. "You don't understand. That cart has been instrumental in deterring violations." "You mean harassing neighbors over wind chimes?" "They weren't HOA approved." "That's not a felony," Riley replied. "But impersonating an officer is." Karen finally stepped back, breathing hard. "I never said I was a real cop. I said I was adjacent, law enforcement inspired." "That's not a legal category," Riley said flatly. Meanwhile, neighbors began to gather. Phones were out. Tyler's live stream was pushing past 8,000 viewers. The comment section lit up. "She really said code zebra. That's not how walkie-talkies OR authority work. This is better than Netflix." Craig, the HOA president, reappeared with a clipboard of his own. "This one real. Officer, I've just reviewed our community policies. Karen's actions today are not sanctioned. I'll be initiating an emergency HOA vote to suspend her from her position immediately." Karen spun. "Craig, you coward. You asked for tighter security. Asked you to report violations, not become Judge Judy with a fake siren." She turned toward the crowd, her voice cracking. "I did this for you. For this community. While you all slept, I patrolled. While you ignored loose trash cans and unpainted fences, I was vigilant." Someone in the crowd yelled back, "You gave my son a warning for rollerblading. He was unhelmeted. He is for." Officer Riley gestured toward the police cruiser. "That's enough. We're done here." Karen stood frozen. The golf cart, her mighty chariot of HOA justice, was now being slowly loaded onto a flatbed tow truck. The little blinking lights still flashed weakly, as if even they were embarrassed. "Is this ... necessary?" she asked, her voice suddenly small. "You faked a badge, attempted to detain residents, and disrupted a child's birthday party," Riley replied. "Yeah, it's necessary." As she was led to the patrol car, not arrested yet, but certainly being strongly questioned, Karen looked around one last time. No allies. No backup. No, Bravo Tango. Just Tyler, raising his cup in mock salute and saying, "Hope they let you keep the vest. Karen, Halloween's around the corner." By the time the HOA's Monday meeting rolled around, Karen had become something of a local legend for all the wrong reasons. Tyler's video compilation had gone viral. National viral. It was featured on a segment of late-night TV titled "When HOA Power Trips Go Wild." In the video, she was seen shouting fake codes, yelling at a playground, and getting her golf cart impounded like it was a stolen Humvee, the icing on the cake. Her dramatic walkie-talkie call to Bravo Tango, which every podcast and parody account had now turned into a meme. And yet, Karen wasn't hiding. She was preparing for legal war. That Thursday morning, Tyler was served a court summons hand-delivered by a process server who looked visibly uncomfortable, titled, "Karen Simmons vs. Tyler and Gina Burns." Plaintiff alleges public defamation, emotional trauma, and cyber harassment. Gina nearly spat out her coffee laughing. "She's suing us because we filmed her impersonating a cop in broad daylight." Tyler held up the document. "Apparently, we weaponized ridicule and destabilized community leadership infrastructure." "Is that lawyer speak?" Gina asked. "Nope. She filed it without a lawyer." Karen, true to form, decided to represent herself in small claims court. The courtroom was small, packed with curious residents and HOA members. Even Craig showed up with popcorn, clearly pretending he was there in an official capacity. Karen stepped up to the plaintiff's table wearing a navy blazer, 2 sizes too large, and clutching a thick manila folder labeled Exhibits ASI. Tyler whispered to Gina. She brought enough paperwork to sue the Pentagon. Karen opened her statement dramatically. "Your Honor, I am here to hold these people accountable for a sustained campaign of humiliation. I am a public servant elected by my peers and I was unfairly portrayed as unstable, unlawful, and unprofessional. The judge, an older woman with sharp glasses and a dry sense of humor, leaned forward. "Ma'am, do you have any legal basis for this claim?" Karen nodded and produced a printed-out photo of Tyler filming her. Exhibit A. "This image was taken without consent and used to defame me. You were in public." The judge replied, "That's legal." Karen switched gears. Exhibit B. "This video shown to millions cut out crucial context. I was conducting a legal inspection under HOA code compliance." The judge tilted her head. "You wrote citations on coloring sheets. Because our printer was jammed, Tyler couldn't hold it in." He chuckled. Karen shot him a death glare. "You think this is funny? You turned me into a national joke." "Karen," Gina said calmly, "you turned yourself into a national joke. We just hit record." The judge held up her hand. "Let's focus. Ms. Simmons, do you have evidence that the Burns family lied or slandered you?" Karen hesitated, then pulled out her final exhibit, a homemade binder covered in glitter and Sharpie titled, "Karen's Evidence Vault." Inside, photos of her patrolling the neighborhood, doodles of HOA badge concepts, one page labeled Top Secret Codes, featuring things like alpha level alert, loud wind chimes. The judge closed the binder with a soft thud. "Ms. Simmons, this is not a serious legal argument. This is art therapy." Karen stood her ground. "Then I call myself to the stand." "You're already standing," the judge said. Karen pointed dramatically. "Then I object." "To what?" the judge asked, eyebrows raised. Karen paused. "I don't know. I just watched a lot of courtroom shows last night." The judge sighed. "We're done here. Case dismissed." Karen gasped. "You're ignoring a public servant in distress." "You're not a cop, ma'am," the judge replied, already writing the dismissal. "You're not even a licensed security guard. And next time you disrupt a child's birthday party with a fake siren and a pool noodle pattern, expect more than a court date." As the judge left, the courtroom erupted into quiet laughter. Karen stood alone, binder in hand, glaring at Tyler and Gina like she'd just been wronged by the system. Outside the courthouse, a local news crew approached Tyler. "Mr. Burns, what's your comment after winning today's case?" Tyler shrugged. "I guess we can all sleep better knowing the threat of Code Zebra has been neutralized." Karen's courtroom defeat should have been the end. Anyone else would have quietly slipped into the background. Maybe deleted their HOA Facebook account, maybe even moved out of the neighborhood altogether. But Karen Simmons wasn't just anyone. She was on a mission, with her badge officially invalidated, her golf cart impounded, and her reputation being memed into oblivion. Karen had just one option left in her increasingly deranged playbook: escalation. By the next weekend, flyers started appearing all over Maple Grove Estates. They were stuffed into mailboxes, pinned to community bulletin boards, and taped to light poles like lost pet signs. Now recruiting Karen's Citizen Safety Patrol. Tired of slack HOA enforcement? Want to help protect property values and fight neighborhood chaos? Join the elite. Uniforms provided. Must bring own walkie-talkie. Tyler held one up in disbelief. "She's recruiting a vigilante squad." Gina took a picture and snorted. She misspelled citizen twice. Even Craig, the HOA president, was stunned. "We didn't approve this. We specifically unapproved this." Karen, however, went ahead with her plans. She posted on Craigslist, a neighborhood app, and even tried to hand out applications during the HOA's bake sale fundraiser. The name of the new group, K-Force, aka Karen's Force, for Organized Residential Community Enforcement. By Sunday, Karen had assembled her task force. It included a teenage boy named Dakota, who thought it was a LARPing event, a middle-aged man named Lester, who just wanted to wear a reflective vest and yell at joggers, and one very confused dog walker, who thought she was signing up for a volunteer park cleanup. Karen handed out custom name tags and cheap plastic badges with the K-Force logo, a giant K inside a traffic cone. She gave orders with all the intensity of a drill sergeant whose only combat experience came from watching police procedurals. Tyler and Gina watched the whole thing unfold from their porch like spectators at the weirdest neighborhood parade in history. "She's got Dakota saluting a garden gnome," Tyler said. "Filming, she's pointing at someone's Halloween decorations and calling it urban clutter," Gina added. Karen's squad marched through the neighborhood in formation. They yelled made-up HOA violations into walkie-talkies. One poor woman was scolded for hanging a bird feeder without flight pattern clearance. Then came the confrontation. Karen and her squad approached a house that had a slightly dented mailbox. The owner, Mike, was a former Marine, 6'4", and not one to play games. Karen loudly announced, "We're initiating Section Delta mailbox check." Mike stepped out, confused. "What now?" Karen gestured toward the dent. "This violates residential visual standards." Mike squinted. "You're who again?" Karen handed him a flyer. "I'm with Force. You've been flagged for corrective action. You touch my mailbox, and you're gonna need corrective action on your face," he muttered. At that point, Karen made her fatal mistake. She reached for the mailbox and muttered into her walkie, initiating code red. Tyler, filming from across the street, whispered, "She's gonna do it. She's actually gonna try to enforce fake law." Again, Mike stepped forward. "That's federal property. You mess with that and I will call the real cops." Karen froze, halfway through her dramatic reach. And that's when Officer Riley's cruiser pulled up again. It was like fate had a schedule. Karen acts up. Riley shows up. Riley shows up, clearly recognizing the ridiculous scene instantly. "Karen, we doing this again?" Karen stood straight. "We are now a private enforcement body, acting under volunteer community authority. Is that what you call bothering people with fake badges and walkie-talkies that don't even connect?" Karen puffed up. "We have every right to patrol our streets." "Actually," Riley replied, "you're bordering on harassment, solicitation without permit, and impersonating municipal enforcement." One of the squad members stepped away, peeling off his reflective vest and muttering, "I just wanted to hand out safety whistles, man." Karen tried to rally. "Hold your ground, Force." Dakota raised his hand. "Can I go? I have Xbox." Within minutes, Riley had Karen separated from the rest of the group, clipboard in hand again this time, a real one. Neighbors gathered, with phones, shaking their heads, some just silently clapping as if they'd seen this exact show before. Karen, once again, was alone. "You've officially been banned from leading any community enforcement activity," Riley said. "One more stunt, and you'll face real charges." Karen's eyes narrowed. "I'm not done yet." Riley nodded. "I didn't think you were. But trust me, Karen, next time, it won't end in a warning." After the K-Force flop, most people assumed Karen would finally give up and quietly return to whatever reality she previously lived in. Instead, she did what no one expected and what absolutely no one asked for. She took her mission online. On a Sunday morning, Tyler was scrolling YouTube on his tablet when a thumbnail caught his eye. A blurry shot of a driveway with flashing red and blue toy lights, overlaid with huge red text. "Karen Patrol Live, Taking Back the Streets." The channel had one video. One incredible video. Gina came into the kitchen to find Tyler crying with laughter. Tablet propped up against the cereal box. "Watch this," he said. Tapping play. The video opened with Karen standing in front of her garage, now transformed into her operations hub. She wore oversized aviators, a headset mic, and stood next to a folding table cluttered with clipboards, maps, and what looked like a stapler painted black to resemble a taser. "Welcome to Karen Patrol Live," she announced breathlessly. "I am Officer Simmons. Tonight we're cracking down on dangerous violations that threaten the safety and value of our beautiful community." She waved dramatically to the left. "And this is Command Center Alpha." The camera panned to a tiny laptop balanced on a cooler. Behind it, Dakota the teenage LARP kid held a flashlight and saluted. Tyler wheezed. "She has a tech guy." Gina took the tablet. "No, oh no, she's filming people's houses." The next clip was from Karen's phone camera. She zoomed in on a man watering his lawn. "This individual has repeatedly failed to edge within HOA guidelines." She whispered like she was tailing a mafia boss. "Suspect is armed, with a hose." Then she zoomed in on a woman pushing a stroller. "Unregistered pedestrian. No ID badge. Could be casing the neighborhood. She's live streaming random families like it's neighborhood CSI." Gina said, horrified. Tyler added, "This is a lawsuit, Buffett." Karen's stream gained traction overnight, but not the kind she wanted. Comments flooded in. "This lady's a menace with a GoPro. When cosplay becomes a felony. Waiting for her to get tackled by real cops." But someone else was watching too and they weren't laughing. The following morning, Officer Riley called Tyler directly. "Hey," he said, voice unusually serious. "Did you know Karen's broadcasting surveillance videos of residents?" Tyler paused. "Oh, you saw the YouTube masterpiece. We've had 3 reports from residents already. 2 of them have filed formal complaints. She's technically violating privacy laws and possibly impersonating law enforcement again. Sounds about right. And the police chief wants to move forward with something, like an arrest. No. Something better. A sting. Later that day, Tyler and Gina met with Officer Riley and a plainclothes officer named Sam. The plan was simple. Plant a decoy code violation in Karen's path. Bait her into acting like an officer on camera. And catch the whole thing with witnesses and undercover footage. Karen wouldn't be able to resist. And sure enough, she didn't. That Friday, a white SUV with tinted windows pulled up to the street. Inside, Sam played the part of a new resident who left garbage bins on the curb too long. Tyler parked his truck nearby, filming discreetly. Riley was in a cruiser around the corner, ready to roll in. At precisely 7:03 p.m., Karen's golf cart, newly reassembled with duct tape and a Halloween siren, came into view. A flashing red bike light dangled from the mirror. Karen adjusted her aviators and hit record. "This is it," Tyler whispered. "She's going full Bravo Tango." Karen stopped next to the SUV and knocked on the window. "Sir, you are in violation of waste disposal protocol." Sam blinked. "Excuse me, step out of the vehicle. I'm placing you under HOA citation authority." Karen opened the door, opened a hand, reached inside, and that was it. From behind her, Riley's cruiser screeched to a stop. 2 more officers emerged. "Step away from the vehicle," they shouted. Karen froze. Sam flashed his real badge and stepped out. Karen backed away, muttering, "This is a misunderstanding." He was littering. "You just opened the door of a private vehicle and claimed enforcement authority on video," Riley said firmly. Karen was placed in handcuffs, finally actually arrested for impersonating an officer and unlawful surveillance. As she was led to the cruiser, she looked around wildly. "Wait, this is my show. You can't end the show," Tyler muttered. Too late. The season finale came early. If you thought Karen's story peaked with the golf cart raids or the walkie-talkie sting, you clearly underestimated her flair for public disaster. Because now, she wasn't just facing HOA complaints or neighborhood ridicule, she was facing real charges. The trial of Karen Simmons versus the state of Arizona quickly became the most talked about event in Maple Grove history. Even the local news anchors couldn't keep a straight face during the preview segment. A suburban woman accused of impersonating an officer, using a golf cart, toy sirens, and a YouTube live stream. The courtroom was packed. Residents brought snacks. One guy wore a t-shirt that said "Code Bravo Tango, Survivor." Tyler and Gina sat quietly near the back, cameras off, but phones ready just in case Karen pulled something new. She didn't disappoint, Karen decided. Again, to represent herself. No lawyer. Just a binder, her YouTube clips, and a PowerPoint presentation she titled, "Neighborhood Justice, the Hero You Mocked." The prosecutor opened simply, "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the defendant is not a police officer. She has never been trained as one, and yet, she ordered people out of their vehicles, filmed their homes without permission, and attempted to detain a man with zero legal authority, all while broadcasting it online for clout." Karen stood and objected immediately. "It's called community leadership." The judge glanced up. "Sit down, Ms. Simmons." But Karen didn't sit down. She clicked to the first slide in her PowerPoint. A blurry photo of herself in sunglasses, holding a clipboard, with the caption, "When others ran from duty." She drove toward it. She turned to the jury. "I didn't impersonate, I filled a void. I enforced what the HOA refused to. I kept our streets orderly, our lawns trimmed, and our trash bins on schedule." The prosecutor calmly played Exhibit A, Karen's Karen Patrol live footage, showing her accusing a toddler of unauthorized stroller activity and demanding ID from a dog walker. The jury laughed. One juror nearly dropped her pen from giggling. Karen didn't flinch. That's called proactive crime deterrence. The prosecutor then played Exhibit B, the sting footage, showing Karen reaching into the undercover officer's car and ordering him to exit. Karen tried to spin it. "I was conducting a citizen engagement protocol." "You mean opening someone else's car door and demanding compliance?" Karen narrowed her eyes. He was clearly suspicious. He was a plainclothes officer. Karen leaned toward the jury. "Then how was I supposed to know he was real?" The prosecutor stared at her, baffled. It only got worse. During cross-examination, Karen tried to paint herself as a victim. She claimed Tyler's videos shattered her mental health. that the HOA abandoned her in a time of bravery, and that Dakota, the teenager who'd quit mid-patrol, was a trained recruit who went rogue. Dakota, brought in as a witness, took the stand and said, "I just wanted to make TikToks." When asked if she understood she was impersonating a police officer, Karen doubled down. "I never said I was a cop. I was cop-adjacent, inspired by law enforcement, like cosplay, but serious." The judge leaned over her bench. "Ma'am, did you or did you not command people to exit the vehicle, submit to citation, and report to compliance holding?" Karen blinked. "Those are suggested commands. Like guidelines. No, they're orders, and illegal ones, at that." The room went silent, and then, like clockwork, Karen reached into her bag and pulled out a laminated badge she'd made from a Pizza Hut coupon card and a printed HOA logo. She held it up. "This is proof of jurisdiction." The judge stared, then slowly stood up. "I've seen enough. This is no longer a trial, it's performance art." That afternoon, the jury deliberated for less than 30 minutes. Karen was found guilty of impersonating a public servant, unlawful surveillance, and trespassing. She wasn't sentenced to jail but instead ordered to pay fines to each of the residents she filmed or harassed, take a 12-week civics class on municipal law, refrain from participating in any HOA enforcement activity, and most humiliating, hand over every badge, clipboard, and walkie-talkie still in her possession. As Karen exited the courthouse, cameras swarmed her. A local reporter asked, "Karen, do you have anything to say to the community?" She lifted her chin and said, "I only regret that I didn't install body cams sooner." Tyler muttered to Gina, "She still thinks this was a documentary. It was supposed to be just another HOA board meeting." Craig, the HOA president, even wore a sweater that read, "No drama, just dues." He'd prepared a modest agenda: discuss repainting the playground fence, vote on garden gnome height regulations, and, most importantly, ensure Karen Simmons never held another ounce of authority again. But of course, nothing about Karen ever went quietly. As residents packed into the community rec center that evening, most came for one reason: curiosity. Word had gotten out that Karen planned to speak during the public comment portion. Some brought popcorn. One neighbor brought a bullhorn just in case Karen brought hers. Tyler and Gina sat in the third row, trying to stay out of view. Tyler whispered, "If she stands up and shouts Bravo Tango, I'm walking straight into traffic." Gina smiled. "No chance. She's been humbled, convicted, fined. This has to be the end." It wasn't. At exactly 7:38 p.m., Karen stood from the back row. She wore all boxed blazer pants, flat sand carried, no walkie-talkie, no clipboard, and no ridiculous badge. She walked calmly to the front of the room, nodded to Craig, and took the mic. "Good evening," she began. "My name is Karen Simmons, and I am here to apologize." The entire room TENSED, Karen continued, surprisingly soft-spoken. "I lost my way. I confused passion with power. My desire to protect the community turned into something much less noble, and for that, I sincerely apologize." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Karen's eyes welled with tears. "To those I embarrassed, harassed, or frightened, I am sorry. I was wrong, and I accept the consequences." Gina leaned toward Tyler. "Is this real?" Tyler narrowed his eyes. "Wait for it." Karen took a breath. "That being said, I have submitted a new proposal to the board." Craig stiffened. Karen, she turned to face the residents and raised a folder. "It's called the Citizens of Order Plan, or COOP," Tyler groaned. "Of course, it has a ridiculous acronym," Karen explained. COOP is a fully legal, non-authoritative, neighborhood suggestion program. No badges, no citations, no patrols. Just concerned neighbors submitting helpful observations via anonymous forms. All vetted by a neutral committee. "Neutral?" Craig asked. "Who's on this neutral committee?" Karen smiled. "I nominate myself as chair." The room burst into laughter. "No, absolutely not," someone shouted. "You can't chair anything?" Craig said, flipping through the folder. "This is 68 pages of lawn height opinions and a list of suspicious mailboxes." Karen's voice rose. "You can't ignore residents who care about the rules. You're not enforcing anything, Karen," Craig snapped. "You lost that privilege when you tried to detain someone with a plastic badge." Karen slammed the mic down and turned to the audience. "Fine. If the HOA won't maintain order, I'll start my own group." A familiar dread settled over the room. Gina whispered, Please not Karen. Karen smiled with the glow of delusion. Introducing the Karen Initiative. Groans, aloud new from the back row. Someone fake fainted onto the carpet. Karen beamed. It's not a patrol. It's a network. A movement. We'll observe, record, and report just as citizens. You can't stop observation. At that moment, a hand went up. It was Tyler. Craig reluctantly nodded. Go ahead, Tyler. Tyler stood. Actually, there's one person who can stop you. Or rather, something. He pulled out a folded document from his jacket pocket. This, he said, holding it up, is the HOAS newly passed Motion 1 for AIA approved last week in a board emergency session? Karen squinted. What motion? The Karen Clause. Tyler smiled. Craig took the mic, clearing his throat. Motion 1 for A, also known as the Karen Clause, states that any resident who has been legally reprimanded for impersonating a public officer, has used HOA resources without permission, or has formed an unsanctioned patrol, may not propose, lead, or publicly promote any HOA-affiliated program, ever. The crowd erupted in applause. Karen's mouth opened. Nothing came out. Someone from the back yelled, "Checkmate, Karen." Another added, "Mayday, bravo tango," and then the final twist hit. Craig leaned forward. Also, per a unanimous vote, Karen Simmons is no longer a resident of Maple Grove Estates. The board has elected to exercise the HOA's buyback clause due to ongoing disruption. Karen froze. You can't do that. We already did. Craig replied. You'll receive full market value, plus a complimentary moving voucher. A stunned silence followed, and then slow deliberate applause from Tyler. Karen, pale and shaking, turned away from the mic, speechless for once. She walked out of the room without another word. The doors shut behind her, and that was it. The saga of Karen Simmons, the wannabe cop, was finally over. Outside, Tyler looked up at the stars, exhaled, and whispered, "Rest in peace, Code Zebra."